Tonight, our guest is Kadrispahic, Research and Development and Innovation at LiqTech International in Denmark. And tonight we're going to talk about the business of wastewater. Good water quality is essential to human health, social and economic development, and the ecosystem. However, as populations grow and natural environments become degraded, ensuring there are sufficient and safe water supplies for everyone is becoming increasingly challenging. A major part of the solution is to produce less pollution and improve the way we manage wastewater. To hear how to do that, we're going to listen to Haris, and whenever you're ready, you may begin. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I hope I can receive I can talk to somebody. So when I ask that somebody answers, I hope Lamia, it could be you, just for instance. So I make sure that I'm not speaking to myself or speaking to my slides. So from time to time, I would just ask random question and please answer. Then I'll make sure that I'll feel safe that you all hearing what I'm saying. My name is Kadrispahic, and I'm working at LiqTech Ceramics, which is based in Bellerup, very close to Copenhagen in Denmark. We've been working with this type of technologies for many years now, and me myself, I've been around water treatment technology since 2013. I will start with introducing my companies, and I'm going to show you a bit what I would like to call a propaganda video. It's not a propaganda video, it tells you about what we are doing. Let's start.
This is our planet, and these are some of the footprints we as humans have made during the past decades in our search for comfort and happiness. We have become dependent on cars and houses, on cell phones and fancy devices, on technology and efficiency. This is all part of living an everyday life. We buy things that are produced far away from where we live. We go on exotic cruises and holidays, and it all comes with a price. The human impact on the environment has become one of the main challenges of our time. We are facing serious air pollution, and we're running out of clean water, and we are running out of time. At LiqTech, our mission is to minimize the impacts made from living a better and constantly improving lifestyle. The purpose of our products is to ensure both progress and sustainability through innovative thinking and a unique technology for the purification of liquids and gases. Almost 2 decades ago, LiqTech was created out of the need for new technologies to meet the ever-increasing demands for cleaner air and cleaner water. Today, LiqTech is a Nasdaq-listed company, and we are headquartered in Denmark. We are an international player when it comes to removing oil, pathogens, and heavy metals from water, and we are taking an active role in reducing water pollution. Our focus is on marine, on oil and gas, on industrial wastewater, and on transportation, and it will continue to be so in the future. Clean water is a scarce resource. With our unique silicon carbide technology, we can purify it and recycle it. We hold one of the keys to solve the environmental issues caused by our constantly improving lifestyle. We believe it's our responsibility as a company and as a people to take strides in reducing air pollution for the sake of our planet and our common future, and to allow businesses to grow in a sustainable way. Let's improve our future together.
So just to sum up LiqTech, what we are doing today is that we are purifying water, mainly for marine scrubbers, which is a technological term for cleaning the sulfur gases out that comes out of the ships. We are working on automotive industry, like carbon removal, and oil and gas, which oil and gas is basically water purifications. For the future, we are looking at a whole range of different applications, and what is more important, which I'll come back to during this presentation, is a future of our company in terms of food and beverage and drinking water. A bit historically, we are celebrated 20 years in 2020. We started by working on silicon carbide as a material and developed diesel particulate filters. So this technology is made for exhaust gases. In 2006, we made our patented technology, which is basically silicon carbide membrane, which I'll tell you all about it later. And that way we had the chance to also enter the market for water purifications. Last couple of years, we've been making strides towards making even better membranes, and now today we can compete with some of the best companies around when it comes to water purification. If we look at the development of my team, as I said earlier, I started in 2013, and we had a few projects working with different universities, but making us being more of a startup company in terms of the development. Today in my team, there are 5 development engineers with PhD degrees and 2 development project managers with the master degrees in engineering, and we'll have a postdoc very soon, also of course PhD degree and a PhD student. We also have a high-end laboratory equipment, and we are completely putting our own development strategy in place, so we know exactly how to enter different areas of markets when it comes to, I mean, this presentation is about the business, and you'll see me move away from a business perspective very rapidly after I'm finishing introducing my company. So a bit about me. My name is Kadrispahic. I've been, as I said, working in clean tech from 2013. To set a scene, and this drawing that was made by a guy from a podcast called Don't Waste Water, which I will highly recommend for everyone who is interested in listening to a podcast about water and wastewater treatment. So he kind of wanted to hear about my blend of Bosnian and Danish cultures. And I'm very proud Bosnian, and I'm very proud that I'm able to connect to our Bosnian citizens. I'm hopeful that that what I do today will help my home country, and it will also help young people coming to Denmark or going from Denmark back, or even collaborating between Denmark and Bosnia. We are also, greetings from BH Akademici u Danskoj, which is organizations that also try to make this connection between people living in Denmark with Bosnian origins and young Bosnians. So what I'm trying to achieve from today's meeting is maybe not too much talking about my company that I work with for. Also, it's part of my life, of course, but I would like to talk about water. I would like to talk about water purification. Basically, what I want to do is make people think and consider water not only in their daily life, but also as their career move. What I figured out recently is that I have all types of engineers around me. Esra, which I hope has joined since from Turkey. Fabrizio is from Argentina. Hi, Esra. I have a couple of Spanish students. I have students from everywhere, but I haven't noticed any students from Bosnia, and I think it's pity. I know that we have a fantastic group of engineers around, and BH Future Foundations is also promoting these types of young people coming out of the universities are kicking ass around Europe, around different areas, fields, but I'm not noticing them when it comes to water and water treatment or clean tech. I would like to change that in a way. I would like to have more people with whatever background it is. I've seen them working with AI, working with machine learning, every type of engineers. When it comes to water industry, clean tech industry, I mean, we need everyone, and I would really love to have more people on board. So finally, what you'll see around here, and Esther will probably nod, I like to keep my presentation really unstructured. So I talk about different things that got nothing to do with my presentation, but I really want to put things in perspectives. So what I will talk about is I'll talk about mountains, I'll talk about coffee grains, and I'll talk about sports. I really love basketball, and every time I place a presentation out there, I try to fit basketball inside. At some point, you'll hear from my colleagues in the end, and I thought this presentation is missing something. What is it missing? Oh yeah, and then I figured out. Of course, we will also talk about politics, because come on, Balkans and politics. Without politics, it wouldn't be Balkans. So I really would like also to talk about politics. Not too much. I promise you, it will be just briefly. I always try. You've seen a video where we talk about large scales. We are talking about marine. We are talking about mining industries. We are talking about industries with huge amounts of water. I always tend to take this presentation and zoom down to a single person living somewhere. And unfortunately, I wasn't able, or fortunately, let's call it fortunately, I wasn't able to find anything about Bosnia that was pretty relevant. But I did find something very relevant in ZRENJANIN in Vojvodina. I have a small video which I'll return to a couple of times. It goes here, and I'm sorry, Esra, it's in local language, so you wouldn't understand.
No problem.
Rezultati fizičko-hemijskih pregleda pokazuju 100% neispravnost pijaće vode u Zrenjaninu, dok je 20% uzoraka mikrobiološki neispravno. Voda se samo hloriše i bez ikakvog postupka prečišćavanja distribuira potrošačima.
Što se tiče bakteriologije, posljedice mogu biti u smislu nekih štetnih efekata na sistem za varanje i slično, i tu su posljedice relativno brze i vidi se ta povezanost između uzroka i posljedica. Dok kad su u pitanju hemijski pokazatelji, znači nije tako očigledna veza između mogućih posljedica po zdravlje. Znači, može se reći da ljudi koji se rode, žive na ovom području i svakodnevno piju tu vodu za piće, posjeduju povećan rizik za neka oboljenja.
Zrenjaninci već decenijama čekaju na izgradnju fabrike vode. Gradonačelnik kaže da su u proteklom periodu radili na tome da naprave fabriku, ali da je sve još uvek na dugom štapu.
Voda isto je sada kao što je bilo i pre 30 i 40 godina, sastav vode se nije promenio, međutim promenili su se svetski standardi, pa je zbog toga i voda praktično neispravna. Znači, mikrobiološka kontrola se radi redovno i voda je mikrobiološki potpuno ispravna.
Voda je i organoleptički neispravna, što znači da nema odgovarajuću boju, miris i ukus. Milorad Bjelogrlić, direktor vodovoda, kaže da se još niko nije razboleo od ovakve vode.
Ne znam da postoji izveštaj koji ukazuje na to da je na ovom području prosječan vek 35 godina zbog toga što ima arsena ili što je ona takva ili što ima nekih endemskih bolesti. Narod ovdje pije vodu, ovdje se događa da stanovnici dožive 90 godina, 95 godina pijeći isključivo ovu vodu.
Zrenjaninci kažu da vodu iz vodovoda koriste uglavnom za pranje i kuvanje.
Pravo da vam kažem, kod nas niko tu vodu i ne piju, nego uzima vodu, neku drugu vodu i to piju.
Za čega koristite
vodu za kupanje, uglavnom.
Ako je zabranjeno, onda treba da se zabranja. Kako nije zabranjeno, da šalju račun. Ide na plaću, to nije zabranjeno.
Prema podacima Pokrajinskog sekretarijata za zaštitu životne sredine, samo se u 7 opština u Vojvodini pije ispravna voda.
Well, I'm actually happy that I can have this conversation with someone who didn't understand. But I will try to explain to Esra is that this place in Zrenjanin in Serbia, it's actually very close to where you were in Belgrade, as far as I remember, at one point, or Novi Sad, or one of those. Now that part of the ex-Yugoslavia or Balkans is very famous for having very low quality of drinking water, mainly because of the poisonous heavy metals. It's not the only thing, but arsenic is not. It's not very suitable for drinking. Let's say it like this. Now, what's interesting here is that there was a scientist claiming well they failed 100% in all the tests. When they switched to politicians, what they claimed is, and this is very relevant, very fantastic. What they did say is, well, people were drinking this water forever. There is nothing wrong with the water. Only levels that somebody placed are different. So basically, what do you want us to do? Also, what the argument here is that he said, well, we have people who are living 90, 95 years old, and they switched to this older gentleman, and he said, well, we are not drinking this water. So that maybe explains why they are 90 or 95 years old. And his second argument, fantastic argument, he says that, well, no one is dying at 35. Well, that's also a very valid argument. I will note that for next time. But I'm going to stop for the politics for now. What we are working here is a concept with membrane filtration. This membrane filtration was actually the same concept that was installed in Zrenjanin. Now, for whoever doesn't know what membrane is, I will try to just briefly go through these slides. I'm sorry, excuse me. So membrane is basically a barrier. It's physical barrier. What is happening is that we have pressure. or driving force and feed in phase 1, and then we have a membrane, and the other side of this membrane is pure water or permeate. Membrane separation is a technology which selectively separates materials via pores, and it's purely physical. When we talk about the membrane technology, it's purely physical. Regarding characteristics of these technologies, they are mainly listed in these 4 areas. It's when we talk about membrane, there are of course filters that are larger than microfiltration membranes, that sand filters, etc. But mainly when we are talking about membrane technology, we are talking about microfiltration membranes. These are some of these first membrane types, ultrafiltration membranes. And then we have nanofiltration membranes, which are basically out there, and reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis is one of the technologies that been existing for many years now. So there is nothing really novel in this type of technologies. When it comes to ceramic membranes, the lowest part is nanofiltration. There is nothing called or ceramic reverse osmosis membranes. These types of membranes, microfiltration, ultrafiltration, are also called low pressure membranes, because of their pressure is only up to 1 to 5 bars. I have also a video about our own membrane or ceramic membranes and how it is made. It's basically in layers, where we take a silicon carbide and produce these membranes, and then they are fitted into a system, which will look like, it will come up in 10 seconds. It will look like this. So this is basically a very simple concept of ultrafiltration membrane system. What's so special with our company, which is LiqTech, and our membranes, what sets us apart, is that silicon carbide is one of the hardest materials. It is basically indestructible, and its properties are making us very difficult to beat in terms of investments, capex and opex. We are the strongest membrane in ceramic membranes area. So if we compare ceramic membrane with ceramic membrane, we'll end up on having a better or stronger membrane. So I'm going to go back to the case and see how people of ZRENJANIN are doing. So, what happened here is, well, we don't have to comment this. So basically, even though politicians are claiming that water is what water always has been, it's pretty clear that this water cannot be used, not really. Now, I don't know about the authenticity of this video, but it's still somebody posted it, and I have no reason. I've seen several of these. I have no reason to doubt it. A bit more about our technology. When we talk about our technology, and I am a movie freak, and that's why every time I talk about pore sizes or particle sizes, I tend to think about Godzilla movie, which is from 90s. Plenty of young people are here. So if you haven't watched Godzilla, I mean, you are excused. What I'm trying to state here is that back again with our membrane technologies, we have microfiltration membranes. By the way, this is when it comes to membrane technologies, this is a diagram that everybody uses all the time. So you'll see plenty of those out there on various colors. It's basically always the same. So microfiltration area will be the one that will treat your bacteria, but it will not be able to treat your viruses. Ultrafiltration will be able to, at some point, if it's pure ultrafiltration membrane and it's below 60 nanometers in pore sizes, then it will be able to treat also viruses. Nanofiltration membrane is now we are moving away from low pressure membranes to high pressure membranes, and nanofiltration membranes will then be able to remove multivalent ions. And then we have reverse osmosis, which will basically remove everything. In the case of ZRENJANIN that you've seen before, the combination of the two technologies is ultrafiltration membrane around 200 nanometers, and then reverse osmosis. So in principle, this technology would be able to provide the citizens or 60,000 people with the pure water. When I talk about sizes, I tend to relate to things. So we are working at very, very, very small levels, and if we are going to look at really ultra pure water, then we are looking at levels of CO2, salts, and emerging contaminants. These compounds relate to bacteria or coffee grains the same way as humans relate to Eiffel Tower or Mount Everest. So basically, it's where it comes to the sizes. We are trying to remove some compounds, and then we are trying to remove some compounds even more and even more and even more. The tendencies in the market today is that not everything that is dropped in wastewater is actual waste. So if you are working in the food sector, what ends up in the wastewater is actually beneficial for you. So you'll end up in proteins. If you want to remove proteins from your wastewater, then you'll have to think about technologies that will be able to remove some of the compounds and then up concentrate or reuse the other compounds. So that's why I'm talking about, when I talk about humans, I'll say also that not all the humans are the same. So you'll have two basketball stars, and whoever you want to pick is different technology. So I'll introduce a bit later the active layer technology, which will be able for us to remove your point guard, or in this case, he was shooting guard, Michael Jordan, from your Yao Ming, which is your center. So whatever you have in your wastewater, you should be actually able to target these relevant compounds, which will come in handy, because when it comes to drinking water, you'll have some compounds that are very, very small, and you want to target exactly these compounds. It could be microplastics can be removed by only a membrane, but if you look at the emerging contaminants, then you would need some different types of technologies. But what about our own technologies? We have our non-negotiables, which are that our membrane needs to always be have highest chemical resistance, mechanical resistance, and highest flux. Now, highest flux is how much water you can treat per membrane, per square of membrane area. So these 3 points are non-negotiable for us. If we look at the benefits of these 3 points, it will make ceramic membranes indestructible, where alternative technologies will have usually some resting period. Our membranes will not, and this will lower our operating expenses, and this will give basically whoever is operating a peace of mind. Now, everything is fine, and I presented our membrane, I presented the future, I presented lots of things, and I said I'm going to go back and forth with normal people who are still lacking some water. So the case is here. So this is basically the case. So we have known problems. It's nothing unusual. There are lots of grounds out there that have these types of problem. Arsenic in groundwater, which needs to be treated. Solution is also well known. So ultrafiltration systems with reverse osmosis, nothing really irrelevant, nothing really there that could go wrong. So it should be very straightforward. And on top of that, we have, as a pre-treatment, we have silicon carbide technology with reverse osmosis. So state-of-the-art membrane technology combined with well-known technologies. So basically, what can go wrong? Estra, could you please unmute and answer to me this question? Is this compound working? Do you think?
Can you repeat again? What
does it work, do you think? We have installed this, or they have, I haven't. Someone has installed this in 2016. Now it's been 5 years. Does this work?
I have no idea.
All right, I'll come back to that.
Yeah.
So basically, this should work in theory, correct?
Yeah, in theory, yes, but in
we do agree.
reality, I don't know if it's
everything is well known. We are not flying people to Mars. This is well known technologies. So do people, 60,000 people, do they have drinking water? 65,000, do they have drinking water? I'll come back to that. All right, back to the business of drinking water. We have different industries that are trying to treat drinking water, and they are called lots of things. Food and beverage, they are called oil and gas, they are called mining, pharmaceuticals, etc., etc., etc. But relevant to think in this concept is that in terms of industry, we are trying to move more and more towards zero waste. So if you look at this next diagram, it's one of these UN goals. You probably know them. Goal 6 is clean water and sanitation. If we look at different companies, what they've been trying to do, how they are trying to implement these types of UN goals is like Carlsberg has close to zero waste. The fact is 70% of water that enters the brewery ends up as a wastewater. So this is a one of the major concerns for many companies in breweries, because I mean, they need to treat water. If we are in Denmark or if we are in Europe in general, this is not a problem. As soon as you move away from safe havens of Western Hemisphere, then you are in trouble because you'll have water shortages. Same it goes for Unilever. If you are going for a mining industry, they are even trying to have something close to zero waste. Many industries are currently trying to look on how to lower their waste. Usually it's about freshwater intake. If we are moving away a bit, this, what you see in this picture, is a bottle washing machine. Now, if you have your bottle of Coke or beer or whatever you are drinking, you should know that for each liter of your beverage, you use a half a liter of pure water to cleanse it. So this is enormous amounts of water that are just used to flush the already empty bottle. So the companies such as Carlsberg are basically trying to look at different solutions, and these are the type of projects that we normally from our development team will try to enter. But we also figure out in going through these UN goals and going through these different markets, we figure out that our silicon carbide membrane is not adequate for all these types of applications. So we needed to introduce a new membrane. It is a membrane that needed to be below 100 nanometers. This is the area which it's pure ultrafiltration membrane, and this is also the membrane which is used broadly in terms of food and beverage for a process, but also for water treatment. But we did, and I hope Fabrizio joined us. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. We'll leave it to him. I mean, he'll buy breakfast tomorrow. What he did is that during his PhD thesis, and this is also fantastic, while you can do this while you're doing your PhD, he was able to create a novel membrane. Not his idea. We kind of knew what we are going to do, but matter of fact is that he did it. So he created a perfect combination of two different materials, which created this hybrid membrane that we call it. And the reason we call it hybrid membrane is not something. Well, usually when people think of hybrid, they think about something completely different: electricity and new gasoline. This is two different ceramic materials for the membrane: oxide membranes and carbide membranes. But what it did, it opened new possibilities for us. Is that it will expand the treatment potential of our membrane. It will enable us to move down on the pore sizes, and it will enable us to make this type of membranes active on the surface. So create the catalytic membranes. These type of membranes are food grade material membranes, and which are then used in food and beverage, amongst others. It's also used in drinking water. So this is a membrane that was launched this year, and already we have seen fantastic results in field, and we have some fantastic references to go along with. So a bit about the future of ceramic membranes. So what we want to do as a next step is going back to make these types of membranes active, so we can, or selective, so we are able to remove different types of compounds that are in our interest. I was asked directly, is reverse osmosis ceramic membranes achievable? And I said, no, not with these technologies that we are working right now. Some professors that are working with ceramics out there may disagree. I've heard them before, but it's my own opinion. And if somebody can prove even in lab scale differently, then please give me a call. But anyways, I think future is bright for ceramic membranes, which I also state in many of the interviews that I have, and also on the podcast that I would share with you later. To state a bit, this is actually Esra's slide, and I love it. This is what I call world of water treatment. I don't know what she calls it. I'm sorry, Esra, I just did something. Basically, what ends up in our water is something that nature tends to remember. So what our parents placed in the water in terms of pesticides, turns out it will end up in our drinking water if we are using it in 50 or 60 years. So what we know now is that if we take flame retardants or even if we are looking at some pharmaceuticals, whatever ends up in nature tends to stand there and tends to end up in our drinking water. So our technology is not about, as this politician stated, that well, suddenly we have these limits. Water is fine, but we have these limits. It's very, very important to state that these compounds will not kill you straight away and you'll be living past your 35th birthday. But these compounds are not healthy at all. Also in the world where we are trying to move away from plastics and chemicals. You know what? I'll go past this slide. So when it comes to goals that I also introduced you to is, as I said, we have 17 goals to transform our world, but we have 3 of them that are about water. It's a clean water sanitation, climate action, and life below water, which me and my team are trying to impact every day. I'll finish my presentation here, and I'll finish it with this slide, which I hope everyone can read it. This is our new master student, and I asked her who she is, what she studies, and why she wants to make career in water industry. I'll give you 2 seconds to read it. And then we have by the way, Maria just finished her master thesis. So I'm hoping that she'll start as a PhD student at LiqTech, I think this fall. Then we have Tufik. He's at Technological Institute of Denmark. He was working with membranes before and joined us recently as a student worker, and I'm hoping that he'll stay here for writing his thesis, but also beyond that. Also one of the guys that we have here as a student. Next in line is, and again, Fabrizio didn't join, so I'll leave it to him. He has been working with us for the past few years indirectly because he was PhD student at University of Turin. but was able to connect his education with our own R&D department. So he has had his secondments in Denmark while moving a bit back and forth. Also, one of the universities in Denmark offered him secondments here. So he was in Denmark for a while and then was moving back to Italy and back and forth. So this is basically what I'm trying to state with this, is that this is also a way to do a career with us, do a career in different universities around the world, but also different companies. And then I have a couple of slides of Esra, and Esra, thank you very much for joining. I'll leave you to present yourself and why you are working with LiqTech and why you are working in water treatment industry.
Sure. Thank you, Haris, for kind introduction and passing me some words during your presentation also. So, hello everyone. I think we have all Bosnians here, right? So, am I speaking the international environment or any students, what type of professional you are, I don't know. So I will just want to introduce myself briefly. I'm Esra Eray from Turkey. So I have a chemical engineering background from Atatürk University in the east part of Turkey. So after that, at 2015, I started my master program in University of Montpellier, France, with the scholarship from European Commission. The program was called Erasmus Mundus Master in Membrane Engineering. And this is a fantastic program where you can graduate with the triple degrees from the prestigious universities among the Europe. Like in my case, I have a degree from the University of Chemistry and Technology, Prague, University of Zaragoza, and a joint degree between University of Montpellier and University of Toulouse. I know it sounds strange, but yeah, that's true. So this is how my membrane career started actually. So where I learned lots of details, lots of membrane processes, lots of materials. So I learned in details everything about membrane and processes. And thanks to this program in 2018, I got admission from the Marie Curie project, which was LiqTech and Aalborg University was part. So therefore, I joined the LiqTech R&D team in 2018, and now it has already been 3 years. So I need to finish my PhD next month. So my main focus of my PhD thesis is development of new type of silicon carbide membranes for the efficient treatment of wastewater streams. So what was the motivation behind before doing an industrial PhD? Because I was thinking that being an industrial PhD student is a great way of transition from academia to industry. Because as you see in my background, I'm coming from the academia, purely academia, and I thought that it will be a nice way to do this transition thanks to PhD. Try to find a solution for the world's problems that we are today facing. So it was a big motivation for me, and I like to talk with the numbers, so I want to give some numbers here as what is behind the motivation. Because as you already know, I mean, you heard these sentences a lot, water is a scarce resource. So when you start talking with someone from water sector, it was the first sentences that you start with. So, but it's sad but true. The water is really scarce resource and it's becoming really global major concern. So what we're expecting is water demand is projected to grow by 55% by 2015, which means that one country among the 5 developing countries will face with water shortage, and this will cost us increasing water scarcity, will affect the global ecosystem, human health, and food security. So it's all come with a cost of the world. So because of this reason, I think there is a huge gap, or not huge gap, but huge chance to motivate yourself to why you want to inside in the water sector to save the planet for our future. So I don't know, again, your career and what paid you are, but you can, with this motivation, you can, of course, lead your career into water sector. For this reason, I'm just working in the Aquality project, which is the aim of the project is to find the innovation technologies for the removal of contaminants emerging concern. As Haris mentioned, from these contaminants, we are trying to find innovative technologies for this. So it's a big project, consists of 7 universities, 3 research institutions, and 8 companies. And among these, 15 PhD students enrolled. So this was the way for me to come to Europe and start my PhD. And in this project, what we are doing is we are analyzing this contaminants emerging concern and developing new photochemical materials and process in order to remove them from the water and wastewater streams. So I think this is all, Haris, from my side.
All right, thank you. I want to conclude my presentation with the politics. I apologize for that, but it's very recent. So here we go. Mr. President, here we go.
Sedeći ovdje na vašem mjestu rekao da kada građani iz Zrenjanina budu dobili vodu da će vam čestitati, da će vam lično čestitati. Dakle, govorimo o opoziciji.
Toliko sam se bavio time i toliko se nerviram zbog vode u Zrenjaninu da ljudi znaju. Bilo je tu i bahatosti, i osionosti, i neodgovornosti, i raznog. Siguran sam, nemam dokaze pokušaja da se uzmu pare od jednog, drugog, neki investitori. A čuda su se tu dešavala. Ja mislim da smo mi tu svi napravili grešku što odmah nismo išli na to da uzimamo vodu iz Dunava, jer je ta voda odakle se uzima loša, zagađena, plašim se da je potrebno još mnogo para da bi to moglo da se sve prečisti na taj način, ali ako bude trebalo, pošto šta god misli o Bojanu Kostrešu, a sve po onim prvim pitanjima mislim različito, znam da bi se ljudi Zrenjaninu radovali, pa sam spreman čak i sam time da se pozabavim, da budem iskren. Molio sam ljude u vladi da to rade. Ako ne postoji drugi način, lično ću da učestvujem kao jedan član radne grupe i da pokušam snagom volje i nekakvog autoriteta da to poguramo, da ljudi jednom zauvek dobiju čistu vodu u Zrenjaninu. I u celom srednjem Banatu. Inače u Vojvodini imamo problema sa vodom i zato je važno da i te probleme sa vodom tu ili u Jagodini konačno i sa uspehom rešimo. I to je deo projekta Srbija 2025.
So, to conclude my presentation and to tell Esra just what President of Serbia just stated, that he will do it himself. Basically, this is a part of the project Serbia 2025. So I really hope that that people, from what I hear, is that actually this project is very close to completion. But what he stated there, that he will actually try to use his authority to get something going. But he also stated that it's part of the program Serbia 2025. We have 2021, so people don't have water still. So, thank you very much, and I'll leave this to Lamia for the Q&A session.
Thank you very much for your presentation, both Mr. Haris and Esra. It was really lovely to have you. Now we are going to proceed on to your questions. So, one of the questions here was, how is the silicon carbide made? From which materials, which process is it, and is it using a lot of energy?
Yes, I can just answer. It is very, very energy inefficient process to produce ceramic membrane. It is produced purely of silicon carbide, which you also have seen. There is a silicon carbide substrate and silicon carbide. let's call it when you produce a silk ceramic membranes, it's basically a layer which we place at top of next layer and top of next layer and top of next layer. So the easiest way is to produce a substrate which is these microfiltration levels, and that for then it's going through a very high temperature calcination, which is around 2000 degrees. After that, for each and every step, every time you placed another layer of ceramic coating, which we are placing something like 3 micron to start with, and then we are moving to 1 micron to 0.5 100 nanometers. But for each of these processes, there is another a very energy consuming process of creating these membranes. So to answer your question, it's very energy consuming.
Another question was that, can all types of membranes be used in high-scale wastewater treatment facilities, and are they all cost-effective?
Yes, I would say that all membranes that are intended for these types of treatments can be used. The difference is becoming into a market acceptance. First of all, first movers are those who tend to win all these projects. But when it comes to a technology, it's usually one-to-one. It will have the same benefits. It's a physical barrier, and they all can be used. There are different types of membranes now in the market which are not intended to these types of streams. If we are talking about another Danish company called Aquaporine, they are looking at ultra pure membranes which are intended to guys working in NASA. And they are not intending their membranes to be working in industrial scales.
Another question was, which industry has the most complicated wastewater treatment?
Whoa. Most complicated. I want to say one of the most complicated projects, I'm going to be a politician right now. One of the most complicated projects that I have been working on is the heavy metal removal from industrial wastewater on mining. So this is wastewater with high pH values, and everything that you can imagine of heavy metal contamination is there, and it needs to be removed through several steps to reach just the levels acceptable before throwing to nature. So this is in general, industrial wastewater is the most complicated.
Another question in the Q&A section was, what are your thoughts on predicted water shortages in the future versus water privatization? It is putting water on water stock market. How will this influence ordinary people?
It's a difficult question. First of all, we need to think different solutions for different places. If you talk about, let's take a case of ZRENJANIN. There is and by the way, I didn't complete my thoughts there, is that the reason this is not working is basically not technological. It's because the legislation was not in place. So in the Serbian legislation, it states that none of the private actors are able to enter as a water provider, drinking water providers for the private citizens. And this is a problem because the solutions are private, and we cannot really do only municipalities or only state or only private. I think it's going to be different combinations for different sectors or different countries and different regions.
Another question was, have you or your team thought of incorporating different nanomaterials such as graphene nanosheets into the ceramics since they have smaller pores?
You know what? I'm bored of listening to myself. Esther, would you answer to this question, please?
Yeah, definitely. I think in our groups we love nanomaterials, so we use all of them, all type of them, because as you know, nanomaterials can give different properties for the membrane. So, for example, we are incorporating titanium to give the photocatalytic properties. Then we are incorporating silver to give the antibacterial properties. We are incorporating carbon nanotubes to give fast transport for the membrane. So of course, in our group, we love to incorporate with the nanoparticles, but as you mentioned, what material they were asking, nanosheets, graphene nanosheets. Graphene. So I think we have also a small intention to use a graphene nanosheet, yeah, but it's very in the beginning stage.
I want to just add to that. It was a point around 2014, 2015, where the graphene was this amazing material. It's going to end up everywhere. And it just didn't. I had the pleasure of sending some samples to some universities who would try to incorporate silicon carbide and graphene. Never heard from them. So I tend to think that maybe they failed now, but only recently I've still started to hear more and more scientists looking at these type of combinations. So definitely yes.
Another question was, how much does it take to develop a membrane and to put it on a market?
To develop membrane and put it on the market, not that long time. Membrane you can make from everything. I've seen in Italy a guy who made membranes out of olive oil stones, which he molded and then incorporated it in something and then made membranes out of those. So to make membranes is not difficult. To make membranes that will be accepted in market, it will take both time, market acceptance. It will take lots and lots and lots of effort. I cannot put a time scale because we are still developing our membrane and we've been working on this for more or less 20 years. So it takes time.
That's about the questions from the Q&A section and from the chat. I encourage you all to ask more questions because water is vital to our existence, and we should make sure that all people are actually have enough safe water for them. This might seem like a question that is a bit far-fetched from what you've been talking about, but how can we do our best to actually have clean water, and how can we work on preserving it? Because as we know, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, there are plenty of water resources, and thankfully we do have it, but in a lot of parts of the world, people are still lacking clean water for drinking, and it's a huge problem. So what can we as individual citizens do about it?
I'm sorry, Lamia, to I'm going to tell a story in a bit, because I want to tell the story from the beginning, but I forgot. One of the it's basically a myth that we have so much water. We are lucky with water. We are lucky with our nature. We are very lucky with our rivers. However, I was in Bosnia after a war, so it was maybe 7 or 8 years after I left. I came back to Bosnia, and I got sick. Didn't know why. Next year came back, got sick. Didn't know why. Year later, I talked to my friend, and you said, you know what? Something's wrong. Every time I go to Bosnia, first and second day, I'm sick, really, for a couple of days. And he said, it's water. And you know what? I said, well, what will it cost me? I'm going to just boil water. And I wasn't sick for those couple of days. Then my dad saw me boiling water and said, what is that you are doing? I said, I'm boiling water. He said, he was mad, because he said exactly the point that you said. We have water in Bosnia, and he claimed that the Bosnian water is the best water in the world. So I thought, yeah, he may be right. So I stopped boiling water. Experiment completely was successful. I got sick very next day. So there is definitely difference, and you can state this well, because it's because of myself and my bacteria in my stomach. But when we talk about Bosnia, last year or year before, I don't remember quite, it was a water shortage in Sarajevo because of the big drought. So even though we have all this water, there is still water shortages. And you've seen in ZRENJANIN, I mean, if we are polluting our water, then doesn't matter how much water you have, you still have drinking water shortages. So my advice to everyone is, let's preserve our nature. I tend to hit these articles of people visiting Bosnia, and it's always negative in terms of how we are behaving in terms of preserving our nature. So you'll see people throwing trash everywhere, bottles, everything that it will eventually catch up. In my presentation, I said that will eventually catch up. So whatever people working in different areas did many years ago, it will eventually end up in water. So maybe it's not you, but it's probably a generation after. So the best advice is, don't throw stuff into the nature and you'll preserve the water. But after that, of course, there are treatments, and they will also come to Bosnia at one point, if we like it or not.
Certainly, because everything we do will come back sooner or later. On a global scale, how huge is this problem? Because as we know, it is a huge problem, but I don't think people can really put it into perspective on how just water shortages are an immense problem for everyone. So on what scale could we compare it to, and how can we just put it into the perspective like that?
If we talk about, let's say, if we talk about city of Johannesburg, a huge city, ran out of the water. So it will tell you the scale of this problem. And luckily, again, I'm trying to say, luckily there are technologies, but these technologies are usually very, very expensive, and they tend to follow the richest countries. So in China is one of the countries globally that are investing most in the water treatment. But if we are moving away from China and moving to Africa, the wars are being fought right now. So the 4 wars is partly because of the water shortages. So wars are actually, even though the news from Africa don't come around us that often, so you actually have to be interested to go around and look what's going on. But water shortages are enormous, and on a global scale is getting worse, definitely. And we as humans tend to neglect this. If you take one avocado, it will use, each and every avocado will use 70 liters of water. So you eat one avocado, you have spent 70 liters of water, and etc. I believe maybe Esra has fresh numbers of how this is. Do you, Esra? Do you have one number that will just?
I mean, not number, but I can give indication maybe.
Yeah.
So in the last 100 years, water consumption increased 6 times than what it is. So,
well, these are some quite numbers and quite some information that's certainly going to make me reconsider taking avocado or anything else again. So finally, we have one question in chat, which is that the water pipes in Sarajevo have for the most part not been fixed since the war. If you could give one message to the local governing body in terms of how important it is to address, what would it be?
One message. I cannot give a message to local governing bodies. I can only give a message to people of Bosnia. And the people of Bosnia should place green above everything else. What happens in the last election in Denmark, because I'm very much about what's going on in Denmark, is basically whoever spoke about global challenges, whoever talked about environment, whoever talked about what to do, let's say CO2 levels in 2030, what to do with cars, what to do. Those are the parties that won the election. So basically, in a democracy, it's you who have the vote. Actually, I also have a vote. So it's basically up to each and every voter to stop thinking about politics that will not lead you anywhere, and start thinking about water pollution, talk about energy, talking about pollution in Sarajevo, and thinking about why in 2021 the Sarajevo is the most polluted city in the world. I think these are the issues that you as young people, people in general living in Bosnia, need to take care of themselves. And whoever places pressures on the politicians is very welcome to do so, because what we tend to do is we tend to think about history and living in denial. But I think the problems out there are much larger than what's discussed at the moment in Bosnia and Bosnian news, or local news in Balkans in general.
I agree. So to wrap it up, I want to thank you both, Mr. Kadrispahic and Esther, for being with us tonight, for being our guests. Mr. Harris, thank you for a lovely presentation, for an insightful presentation, I'd say. I hope you follow the Futures webinar series, and I hope to see you we hope to see you sometime soon again. And I hope to see everyone here, in all of the attendees attending again. I really had a great time tonight. I hope you did too. So that's it for about tonight. Thank you all, and have a lovely rest of the day wherever you are.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Bye.